So there is a rumor that in Avengers Doomsday, there is going to be a fight between Professor X and Bob Reynolds, aka the Sentry, aka the Void. And again, this is just a rumor, but I think it would be awesome, and I think it would work for two reasons. And I also have a really good idea of how I think it could go down. But before I get to that, the two reasons why I think this could work is that number one, it works from a storytelling perspective, and number two, from a more practical filmmaking side of things, it also works as well. Story-wise, pitting someone who turns into the Void, the physical embodiment of darkness and depression, who literally fights by trapping people into their worst thoughts, putting them against Charles Xavier, the world's strongest telepath, who is perhaps the most optimistic and hopeful mutant in the Fox movies, who is known for his optimism despite living in a world that hates and despises his kind, who has made it his life's mission to find downtrodden and lonely mutants and teach them to not only hone their powers but to love themselves as mutants. Putting these two against each other just makes sense, especially in terms of power set, but also just from a personality perspective of these two characters. And then from the filmmaking, more practical side of things, telepathy fights are hard, especially when your actor playing the telepath is Patrick Stewart, who is 85 years old. You're not going to get any hardcore action sequences just because that's not practical. And unless you want to watch Patrick Stewart just like stare intensely at a screen, I think it makes a lot of sense to have his fight, if he's going to have one, be against someone like the Void, where it's essentially all of the fighting takes place in the mind, and rather than physical fighting, it's essentially a war of words. Okay, so now that I have explained why I think this could work, this is how I see it potentially going down. So imagine it's a little past midway through the movie. All of the heroes have met each other, and more or less they understand that they're all on the same team and that the enemy is Dr. Doom. Doom and his forces are attacking the heroes, and they're getting hit hard. It's bad. And the Thunderbolts, aka the New Avengers, who are easily the least powerful of all of our heroes, are getting hit the hardest. And Bob Reynolds is watching it all happen. Now remember, at the end of Thunderbolts, we saw that Bob was unable to use his powers as the Sentry because there was a chance that that could make him slip back into the Void. But we did see that he had some self-help books. So what if at the beginning of Avengers Doomsday, Bob's doing better? What if he's gone to therapy, he's been reading those self-help books, and by all means, for the first time in a long time, he's feeling okay. And throughout the start of the film, every time the New Avengers go into a fight, we could see Bob wanting to use his powers as the Sentry to help his teammates. But we could see his teammates stop him, worried that the Void could come out if he does activate those powers. And despite being helpful in other ways, we could see that Bob throughout this movie has started to develop this insecurity that maybe he's useless to the team without being Sentry, or that maybe his teammates, his friends, no longer need him. But now in this huge battle, seeing his teammates struggling so much, maybe even seeing some of them about to die like John or Yelena, Bob can't stand by anymore, and he activates his powers, becoming the Sentry. And just like in Endgame, at the end when Captain Marvel comes in, the tides begin to turn, and for the first time, Doom is starting to lose. But as the Sentry is tearing through Doom's forces and gets closer to Doom and begins fighting Dr. Doom one-on-one, Dr. Doom reveals to the Sentry that this was his plan all along. And being the master manipulator Dr. Doom is, he begins egging the Sentry on and getting inside of his head and making him doubt himself and bringing up those insecurities. And slowly we see The Sentry is now the Void. As this happens, we see Doom escape through a portal, now free to execute his master plan, while all the heroes are now stuck dealing with the Void. We see each hero after hero fall into darkness as darkness begins to engulf the entire screen until there's nothing left but black. Just like in Thunderbolts, we cut to Bob in his shame room. But now, since his shame and his insecurity is the worry that he's a burden and unable to help his teammates, aka his friends, the room is no longer the attic from the end of Thunderbolts, but a room inside of the New Avengers Tower where we see videos of his teammates dying without him playing on screens. Bob, brought to tears, ducks his head down. It appears that he's alone, but then a warm hand embraces him on the shoulder. He looks up and it's Charles Xavier. And Charles, just like he's done in all of the previous Fox movies when recruiting the X-Men and the New Mutants, tells Bob he is not a monster and that it's Bob, not the Sentry or the Void, that is needed in this fight against Dr. Doom. Bob tells Charles that he feels so ashamed that he let Doom manipulate him into becoming the Void again, and that he had thought that he'd moved past the Void since the incident in New York. At this point, you could get a really great message where Charles tells Bob that depression and the Void isn't something you defeat once and never have to worry about again, but rather an ongoing process of growth and healing. However, this doesn't appear to be working, as Bob tells Charles that this mistake was simply too big to come back from. He's destroyed the hero's chances at winning, and he just feels lost. And at that point is when Charles Xavier drops his famous line, and he tells Bob, just because somebody stumbles and loses their way doesn't mean they are lost forever, and that it's up to Bob whether he wants to remain lost or have the courage to get back up. He extends his hand out to Bob. Bob, looking up, grabs his hand, and slowly we cut to a scene where the darkness starts to fade away, the heroes appear again, and left in the place of the Void is Bob and Charles. But keep in mind, this is all based on a rumor that we don't even know is true, and I definitely got carried away there. But regardless of what happens, I am excited for this movie. The character of Bob is so special to so many people, including myself, that regardless of what happens, December 18th cannot come fast enough. And if this does happen, maybe I'm a telepath inside of Kevin Feige's head. And if it doesn't, then I guess I'll be making my AO3 debut. But let me know what you think. Are you excited for Avengers Doomsday? If you are, who do you want to see fighting against each other? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more like this, you can find me on YouTube or just follow me on TikTok. And have a great day.